3. Is it on?
Wait, you didn't count us down though.
Can you count us down?
Ah, hello!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Toddcast Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Baysinger. With me as always is Todd Baysinger and Todd Baysinger.
Hello.
Just kidding, it's Jake McDowell, everybody. We have a guest.
Hello!
Yay! A guest on the show. Hooray. How'd the show go tonight, gents? Ooh.
Well, your answer is going to be different than ours. I feel like.
Why is that?
Well, just
it was a
the
delightful
confrontational way that you asked the question, maybe.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it.
I had fun.
I had fun.
Yeah.
I didn't. Stupid show anyway, I don't care.
The only person that liked my set is still here, so that's great.
Keisha's a trooper, man. Comes to every set.
Yeah.
Unlike my girlfriend.
Keisha is our lighthouse.
Comes to every set.
We just
Comes to
looked
every
at
set.
her.
Ryan, how come you get a mic stand?
I'm special.
That's fair.
No, he's the host.
Sort of. Even though Todd's the host, but Todd's never on the actual podcast.
That's true.
He makes like 5-minute cameos, like throws
Cards Against Humanity
Cards Against Humanity cards at us, and just kind of chills.
I like that segment of the podcast where Todd throws cards at us.
Todd just randomly appears and distracts us.
Tom's our gambit.
That was an interesting crowd.
Well, they were all like here for one specific person.
That's true.
So it made it like it was a pretty like.
I don't like to be that guy who's like, oh, it's the crowd, man. It's like, what's wrong with the crowd?
Sometimes it's the crowd. Man.
But it was
Sometimes,
the crowd.
like, I mean, I'm trying all new shit. I still have to figure out.
Those are Tom's friends, so they're cool.
I still have to figure out what to do with my eyes when I'm on stage. Like this.
Please explain.
Okay, so normally when I'm on stage, I'm elevated over the crowd, so I can kind of just gaze out into the nothingness, like because I'm above everybody's head. But when I'm on like the ground level, everyone's on my level, so I like have to look them in the eyes, and that makes me very uncomfortable. So then I'm like looking at the ground, which makes me seem not confident. But I can't like look at the ceilings, and I look like I'm, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a weird dynamic, and it shouldn't give me that much trouble, but for some reason it kind of does.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
This table that we're sitting at, that's your stage next time.
So you
That's
just
not a
got
bad idea.
Dead Poet Society yet?
You may have to kneel, I don't know, but you will be above their level, and then it's not as awkward. Like standing on a table would be less awkward than having to look people in the eyes.
No, I would like it
Probably, honestly.
I would like it more if you didn't kneel, so your head's just in the rafters. And so it's just a headless man doing comedy making gestures. that would make me much more happy.
Look at somebody's ear.
Look at Keisha coming with the practical answers.
Because your chin is then parallel to the floor.
That is true.
When are you going to start doing stand-up comedy? Because you're better than all of us.
I know, she's got great suggestions.
I was thinking about it tonight.
This is an open mic. Anybody can do it.
I've been waiting to see you for a really long time again since your Amish joke, to tell you the truth, actually.
Oh, man, I forgot about that joke. Nobody else liked it except you, so I threw it away.
I really want to hear the rest of your Gone Girl joke because I have watched that movie.
Okay, so the Gone Girl joke is...
Great joke.
So, all right. So have you seen the movie Gone Girl? Everybody normally says, yeah, woo, and they all start cheering, right? And then I'm like, well, if you like that movie, look out for the prequel that's coming out this summer called You Go Girl.
I do like that joke.
But here's the thing. If I ask a crowd if they've ever seen Gone Girl and they just give me blank stares, even if there's one person like you who says, yeah, I have seen that movie, I can't do the joke because they won't get it.
No.
I think you still could.
You think so? I guess Gone Girl
Gone
is enough
and-
of a premise to
Gone
set
and
it
You
up.
Go is, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie, and I like the joke. So.
Yeah, but you're pretty smart.
#feminist.
There you go. All right.
Keisha's got tags too.
God damn it. You're showing me up right now,
But
Keisha.
there was back to the looking at the ears thing. There was a kid in our high school who we would all collectively as a table, when he would get up from the lunch table and go to get seconds or something, we would all say, okay, everybody just stare at, his name is Vito, everyone just stare at Vito's forehead. And like while you're having a conversation to him. And so he would come back and all of us would be like, hey man, how's it going? And he would get super self-conscious and just really anxious.
Torturing this kid.
But none of us would address it. We would all just play it off, and every single person would just be like, he knew what was happening, but at the same time, you would know what was happening, and then slowly think that he was the one who was just like freaking out.
You're playing mind games with him.
Yeah.
What I loved about your story is you sounded kind of like a Russian foreign exchange student, because you're like, when we have conversations to him, and I was like, all right, you kind of get the grasp of English, but there's something missing.
We have conversations.
Yeah.
We have
Speaking of
To his
ears,
forehead.
have you ever met and or dated? It's usually if you date someone, because you're not typically around their friends when they're cleaning out their ears. But are you ever like around somebody who cleans out the ear and it's like complete like brown shit inside there with like Q-tips and stuff?
Like to myself, but I've never witnessed somebody do it.
You've never witnessed someone that's just like major earwax?
No.
So my girlfriend does it. Fascinates me. It's like every single time it's just like the grossest shit in the world.
I bet if she just did that every day, that would stop happening.
Probably.
Or she's some like science freak of nature, and she should be capitalizing off of this never-ending
What is
earwax
earwax? Like, where does it come from?
from your head.
Your ears.
From
Is
your
it
ears,
just like,
idiot.
is it the same concept as like mucus? Does it just like coagulate in your ear?
I don't know. I really don't know. I clean out my
These are
ears
the
every day.
hard-hitting questions that you'll hear on the
These are-
Toddcast Podcast.
We gotta research this.
So yeah, I didn't notice the Russian thing, but I did a thing tonight, and I'll do it every once in a while. I was starting to tell you this, where I'll say a phrase like John Mulaney, and because my voice is already kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's got a similar cadence and like it's kind of nasally, but every once in a while I'll say well like him.
Yeah.
Go well. Or with tonight it was all right, proceed, which is a line, and I did it and I was like, ah shit, I did. That's John Mulaney's thing. I
Do you
can't
ever
do that.
do that on accident or like unintentionally? Like you write a joke and then you sort of look back on it and you're like, yeah, that's kind of the ilk of fill in the blank.
All the time. That's why I don't like watching stand-up.
Yeah,
Because
right.
I don't want to be just like a knockoff Hannibal Buress or whoever I like at that moment. You know?
Yeah.
So I just don't watch it. I actually didn't watch any of your sets tonight. So,
I would love to see
I
you
do
do a
too.
Hannibal Buress.
I love
I can't.
And then you say Gone Girl. And you say, no, I haven't, but you should watch the prequel.
I'll do. You know what would be cool? A comedy show where you
Take it out,
just.
man.
Bye.
Great set tonight.
See you, Chris.
Say goodbye to the people.
Hi, people.
All
Love you,
Back
Chris.
to me. That would be an interesting idea for a show, though. Just do all of your jokes, a la whoever you like. I'm sure people have done that before.
I brought that up to Brian like a week ago, where we should schedule a comedy show where everybody does one of the other comics' sets.
Oh.
And like 2 weeks in advance, draw names so that you can prepare for
I
it.
could do Jeff Stiles. I'll just do Jake McDowell's set.
No, you didn't. Oh, gosh.
But yeah, I think that would be really
Watch
fun.
these, it's fine.
What are you alluding to? The fact that I wrote a joke on Facebook that sounded a lot like a joke you did tonight?
Yeah, I might be alluding to that. I don't know. Been drinking a little bit.
Who would you, if you did your set as a famous person, who would it be?
I don't know. I think like Stephen Wright would be fun to do.
Yeah, I think it's
It'd be fun to just like wear a crazy wig or whatever and just stand there and go like this and just thanks.
Yeah. How about you, Chris? Who would you do?
Eddie Murphy.
I would love
Oh
to see
my
that.
god, I would fucking pay $20 to see that.
I paid $20 right now.
Come up here, Chris. Make $20 real quick.
Robert doesn't like money. He just wants to give somebody $20.
How about John Mulaney?
No, I would want to do either TJ Miller or Steve Martin. Just for like the theatrical portion of it. I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
All right.
Louie CK, because I would force people to watch me masturbate while I did it.
Yeah, but he never
That'd be
did that on
interesting.
stage. Like,
$20 for that easy?
I really,
I'm taking
really,
it up a notch.
all right, that's good.
I really want to pull my pants down on stage. I want to do it as like, so I was talking to this guy at the Y, and he was like, and then just drop my pants, and be like, so anyway, you know, and like,
Eric Andre does that.
oh, he does it all the time.
He
yeah.
pees on the front
Yeah,
row.
the fact that he hasn't been caught up in like a Me Too scandal just amazes me.
Well, he does it on stage, so no one could be like, he did that.
He does it on
It's
his
like,
TV show
okay.
all the time. He
Of,
showed
of course he did.
he showed his dick to T.I. and T.I. fucking left. He's like, no.
Who was the girl that he like threw up on the table and then ate it?
Lauren something or other. She was like on the hills or something.
And she just left. She just walked off of the show.
Threw up on his desk and started slurping it up. And she's like, fucking left.
It's the best.
I love his show.
So I'm sorry to take away from the Eric Andre. I was thinking about who I would like if I was doing a set as a famous person. I think for me it would probably be TIG Notaro. Have you ever? Well, like
I've never seen her stand. I've seen a little bit of it. I thought it was pretty good. I just
Like I am a I mean, like I'm not as funny as she is, but I'm a monotone male version of TIG Notaro. That's what I do. You know.
and,
No molesting. That's one of her jokes. That's a great. Look, if you're watching this podcast and you've never seen TIG Notaro, take an hour, just check it out.
Pretty much TIG Notaro, guys.
Just stop watching the podcast, go watch TIG Notaro.
Pause this. It's live, but pause it. And then go watch TIG Notaro.
Is this podcast just?
it's just on Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
And then post it on YouTube afterwards.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Wow. How many hits do you guys have? Like,
I would say about 4 on a good night. Yeah.
Like while it's happening. But then people will watch it after.
People watch it after. Well, nobody watches it.
Not on YouTube, but on Facebook, people will watch it. So, like not a noteworthy amount of people. More than the 4 that watched while it was happening.
I'm struggling to remember a person's name, and it's really bothering me.
do you remember anybody's name, Levi?
Dude, I swear to God, ever since I started doing stand-up, I can't remember anybody's name. It's like a weird brain thing. It's like my head's filled up with bits, and I just I
You're
meet
just a
people.
walking bit.
I meet people, and that information, my brain just goes like, that's not important, and just tosses it out.
I've gotten better only within remembering other stand-up comedians' names, which normally in real life I don't remember names.
And half the time, new people will come to the show, and they'll be like, I'll write their name down or whatever because I'm introducing them, and then on the walk from reading their name off my notebook to the mic, I'll forget their name and I'll be like, fuck.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. That always happens whenever I'm hosting So I've hosted a few times at Penguins. I did once at the Diamond Joe. And every single time you do that, everybody that you bring up has this fucking laundry list of shit that they want you to say about them.
Yeah.
As seen on
And I'm like,
TV.
Right. They're like, he was on Bob and Tom. You guys know him. He was on Bob and Tom. And it's always like fucking six things. I hosted for this lady named Christine Stegman, and she was like, she wanted me to say that she was one funny mother because she's a mom and she's a comedian. And I was like, all right, I'll say that. That was the one thing I was like, I can do this. I can do one funny mother. I still remember it 6 months later.
Dante Powell is the name I was looking for.
Dante Powell.
He's going to be on our show in July. He had a great joke about TIG Notaro. Remember that, Todd? He's like, this is just for the comedy fans. When I first heard TIG Notaro, I thought that was anime. He's so funny. He was cracking Kyle Kanine up.
Really?
He was behind us, just fucking losing his shit watching Dante. Yeah, it was
What,
great.
at Turnbuckle?
Yeah, it's like, you paint dick losers. He's great. Oh man. Just the amount of contempt he had for that crowd was perfect.
Dante?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were having a conversation earlier that we decided to stop to save for the podcast.
About movies?
No.
You and Chris go down that fucking rabbit hole and I cannot keep up. You just start naming off like obscure directors and you're like, oh yeah, I liked his movie.
Chris is on another level for me.
Dude, I'm telling you,
his knowledge about movies and like the encyclopedia of movies that he has in his head is ridiculous.
Well, because he was an agoraphobic for 8 years. He had a lot of time on his hands.
That does help.
But I'm telling you, you guys should start a podcast and just, there will be people out there. There's a demographic of like super movie nerds that would totally be into it.
But we gotta compete with Doug Loves Movies.
You gotta compete with the Toddcast Podcast, man.
But the conversation that we were having was, is doing stand-up comedy a mental disorder?
Absolutely.
Because like,
I think it's a benign mental disorder.
yeah, not literally, obviously, but nobody gets up in front of people willingly and talks to them. Like that's most people's number one fear.
In society, yeah.
Like, well, just in general, if somebody is like, hey, you gotta get up in front of a bunch of people and talk, they go, no, I'm not doing
Dude,
that.
I'm still terrified of that.
But regardless of that, you still get up and do it.
The only reason I can do it is because I know I have, like, ammo. Like, I know I have bits. Well, when I go up and do, like, not like tonight where I'm just doing new shit, but, like, if I'm, like, this Friday, I'm doing the nice little plug. This Friday, I'm doing the Let's Do This show in Iowa City.
Fun show.
At the Blue Moose Tavern. And
what time is it? 8 o'clock.
I want to say like 8, yeah, 8 o'clock. But it's like, with a show like that, I know the shit that I'm coming with, like, works, so I'm not really afraid to go up there, because I know, like, I have stuff to talk about, but if I don't, like, I am kind of terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think hosting has helped me a lot in dealing with that fear, because I, a lot of times, go up there and don't really know what I'm going to say, and then just kind of work through it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's still terrifying.
What I've always thought was weird about stand-up comedy, I'll I have a lot of friends who are really funny, and on stage they exude this confidence and they make everybody laugh, and you're like, oh shit, like that dude is a funny guy, he's probably like great to get along with.
Uh-huh.
And then you get them off stage and they like clam up, they won't fucking talk to anybody, and you're like, what were you just doing 5 minutes ago? Like, why can't you just have a normal fucking conversation with people, dude? Like,
Yeah. I can talk to comics, like I get along with comics really well, but regular people, I'm just lost. I have no idea what to talk about, because it's so easy with comics. You have something in common, you can just be like, oh, how long have you been doing it? Who do you like? Like, where have you performed before? Like,
I just mean like, and I guess I have the same thing, but like, if I do a show and somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, hey, you were really funny," like I can have like a small 30-second conversation, but these people will be like, "Thanks," and then just like turn away and you're like, "Why are you so fucking weird, dude?" Like just. We want to talk to you. Just talk to. I'm not gonna fuck.
I throw some people under the bus on the Toddcast podcast.
I do. Hate
I mean, I guess
that.
I could because nobody's watching.
That's true.
But
like, I hate compliments. I don't know how to respond to a compliment.
just try this one. Just say, "Hey, thanks." That's it. Just try it out, man. Hey, Levi, you had a good set tonight, man.
Fuck you. No, but like if somebody comes up to me and like compliments me for whatever reason, it's like, I don't know, if I accept it, that means that I'm agreeing with them on some level, which feels weird. And if I don't accept it, then I'm being a dick because I'm just going like, oh well, it wasn't that good. But like, I don't know. It's a weird experience to have somebody come up to you and go, hey, you did well, or that thing that you did was good. And then you have to somehow walk the line of... I'm making it way more complicated than it actually is.
Really
but that's the shit that'll go on in my head when somebody comes up to me and gives me a compliment. It's just like, I don't know what to say right now.
I get compliments all the time. Every day.
I look in the mirror and I'm just like, hey.
You're doing all right. You gotta learn to savor the compliments because comedy's a fucking grind, man. There's so many days where you're just like, fucking, like, this is awful. And it helps to have those, like, things in your head where you're like, oh, like, Donnie Townsend said I had a good set, like someone that you respect in comedy who gives you a compliment, or when you had a great set at a certain show, you can look back on it and be like, yeah, I remember I had that, and it just kind of helps you go through, like, the times that suck.
For sure. Like, tonight, I got off stage, and I quit comedy. I was like, it was such a weird thing, because, like, I did a few, like, new jokes that, like, I've kind of been working on, you know? I was like, well, they don't really seem to like this. And I had written down, like, maybe do that write a shame joke that I fucking love.
Yeah.
And, like, I did the first part of the joke, and it was just, like, fucking deer in a headlight. I was like... And I tried not to, like, address the audience with stuff like that. I usually just try to move on, but I was like, wait, nobody's never not laughed at that part ever. Like, not one person was like, oh, huh, that's funny. Like,
yeah.
You may continue. They're just like, no. No, that's...
Yeah, I hate to be that guy that, like, oh, the fucking audience, but sometimes, man.
Well, I just think I texted my girlfriend. I was like, I quit comedy. They don't think I'm funny. And then I was like, well, maybe. And I remember, like, they were all here for Ben. And I was like, maybe Ben Friedman's friends wouldn't like my brand of comedy, you know?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. At Penguins on Friday and Saturday, I was terrified. Like, because that was my first club experience.
Yeah, it can be a little intimidating, that place.
And I was...
Wait.
So
I did a guest spot.
He opened for Vinny, whatever the fuck, and...
Vincent Pastore.
Like, these guys at the Diamond Joe. So he did a spot at the Diamond Joe, opening, or hosting the show, and then they invited him to Penguins to do whatever you did there.
Yeah. It didn't go well, but it was fine. It was cool to get up and do it. But it was just...
crowd?
Friday was better than Saturday. Saturday's crowd was a little bit weird. Friday's crowd was like a really nice mix of demographics, so it was kind of cool. And then Saturday's crowd was just all the same people, and it was all like older farmer type people. So it was the worst. It was kind of a weird night. But Friday the crowd was actually really cool.
So did you stay overnight?
No.
So did they pay you at all? So
well, I wasn't.
So you get to drive an hour. No, it's like 2 hours for you, right?
No, it's only like an hour and a half.
It's fucking exposure, man.
Yeah, I was happy to do it. I didn't really care.
Exposure.
But like also I wasn't supposed to be there. Like the guys who were doing the Diamond Joes invited me and said, "Hey, you should come and do this." And
that's pretty awesome.
They didn't like remember that they said that, but I didn't really care. I was just like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll take advantage of the thing that you just said." And then I showed up and was like, "Hey, you guys said I should come by." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I got on those 2 nights, and yeah, it didn't go that great. One thing that I will say, which kind of made me a little bit embarrassed, was I did that thing. I don't know if you ever did this in high school, but when you get scared around a group of people, you like start to get really arrogant and cocky, like as a defense. I kind of did that a little bit.
No, I just sat there and didn't say anything in high school, pretty much.
Well, I mean, like trying to hang out with, because I was in sports and stuff, and the cool kids were the sports guys, and I wasn't a cool kid, but I did sports, so I would have to always hang out with the cool kids, but I wasn't one of them. So I would try to act like one of them, even though I wasn't one of them, as a defense mechanism. So it wasn't like, no, and that's what I should have done. But afterwards I was like, I kind of was a dick. Like I kind of went into that just like, and just kind of like, yeah. So that was a little bit of it. When I wasn't doing well, I didn't just go, okay, and wasn't just my normal, like, stupid, happy dog self. Like, I got defensive about it, which kind of, yeah, it was a good learning experience of like, okay,
yeah, definitely.
I won't do that again, because that made it 10 times worse than what it could have been.
So how do you, Jake, deal with Baughman? What's your tried and true method?
I don't really have one. I think what helps for me, and Chris Schlichting, if you're watching this is about you, buddy. Chris Schlichting was like, and this like never happens to Chris, but he's like, on the rare occasion that I do have a bad set, I like to just get up again as soon as possible, and just like
cleanse yourself.
And just have that, try to get back up and have a good set, and just remind yourself that you're funny, because you're like, here's the thing, like even the best fucking comedians bomb, and I mean until you get to that like Louie CK, Hannibal Buress level where you're like selling out auditoriums, even professional comedians fucking bomb. Christine Seven, she's a professional, not my favorite comedian, she like came up to me the night I hosted for her, she's like, yeah, I just had, the crowd just wasn't into it, and like it was almost like she was coming to me for advice, and I was like, I don't fucking know what to tell you. Like, you're the one getting paid. Like I drove an hour and a half to host for free, so but I think just getting back up and maybe doing some older stuff, and
yeah, that's a good sign is when you get off, because that was definitely my feeling of like, it's a good sign when you get off stage after doing badly and go, I need to get back on stage right now. Like that means that you're in a good, like, you'll probably be able to work it out.
Yeah, just, if you have a bad set, if you're doing new stuff and you have a bad set, figure out what didn't work, scrub it up. Fucking, that's a technical comedian term, scrub it up.
Is that?
Yeah. And, just work on it. I think, the hardest part for me, and I was talking to Todd about this earlier, is like, I love performing. I hate writing, because anytime I write, I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like, I never know what's funny until I do it, if it works or not, so. I
always know.
I did it like that, that joke about like how running over the school kids, Do you remember that joke? Like, I saw a sign that was like, keep our kids alive.
Pretty dark joke for Jake McDowell, I didn't know.
Hey, let's go running over these kids.
Oh, yeah, that's a great joke. Yeah.
I was never going to do that on stage. It was just like a funny thought I had in my head. I was like, but nobody's going to like it. And then the first time I did it, it worked really well. And I was like, all right, I'll keep that. But I didn't know that was funny to other people until I did it, because I'm very dumb.
I hate the writing process. Yeah. It's so, tedious. Like writing something out word for word is.
I don't do that at all.
Just gross.
No.
No.
I tried to do just like ideas, but then I would always forget. Like I have to write it out the first few times and just kind of see where I'm going.
Well,
I can experiment maybe a little bit.
Yeah, the joke that I did tonight about not taking care of yourself, I wrote that yesterday and today, and I spent like total between the 2 days like 4 hours writing just that joke.
Wow.
And just like sitting down and figuring out the timing of it and like writing it like you would a song, and just kind of trying to figure out, okay, like going through it line by line, just because I don't do that. And so I wanted to try something different to see if that made it better. Just a different process of trying to get it out to see if that helped. After not doing well that weekend, I was like, okay, I need to try something else. But I would sit down and I would write a line and I would go, okay, is there a way that I can make that flow better? Is that the proper amount of syllables to get to that punchline? That's going to make it feel rhythmic in a way that makes them laugh.
Are you taking notes, Ryan?
And
Sorry.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It ended up working okay, but it was just a different way of doing it. I hadn't really tried that before, and it seemed to work. It's like beating your head against the wall, sitting there and trying to figure it out. But
for sure,
it was a complete like bit that I had gotten done, and it was like, okay, that seems like the entirety of the bit, and now it's written, and now I performed it. Now I just have to clean it up.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can you do a Christopher Walken impression?
Yes.
All right, let's hear it. Because you said okay, and I was like, wait a second.
Okay. What is the line? I'll stab your face with a soldering knife. First you take the chicken.
How do we get to Christopher Walken impression?
I don't care where you get it. You can buy it or find it or hunt it down with a knife. But you must treat your animal with respect. Yeah.
So do you write out shit word for word, and then, I mean, your jokes typically aren't super long.
No.
So I could see how that would work.
The weird thing is like the new joke I did tonight about and it definitely needs some work and it needs a little bit of that scrumming, but like the quit coming on people, guys, like that joke, like on the page I was like, oh, this is so long, like because I wrote what I thought was a lot, and then like you get through it and it's like 45 seconds to a minute maybe.
Yeah.
Like, all right, maybe I should just write down some key points next time, But yeah, I do. I just write it. I write out. Todd Wilhite, you guys know Todd?
Yeah.
He writes word for
I don't know why I
word.
shook my head. Yes, I don't know who that is.
You'll do
But I
it
was just like,
eventually.
yeah, I know.
He's a very grumpy troll.
Okay.
He's very funny though, but he
No, yeah,
writes
he's a
like
great guy.
he
just
writes
takes a while
like
to
word
warm up,
for
too.
word. Yeah, no, he's it takes a while to open up.
Yeah.
But he'll write like, I've seen like his notebooks and he writes literally exactly what he's going to say and he'll, just memorize it. But it works for him. Everybody does it a little differently, I think. Some people, I don't know, some people, I guess, probably just write jokes in their head and they're like, oh, this is what I'm going to say. And then it just comes out. And
Well,
I can't do that.
I sort of do that, but not really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm such a fly by the seat of my pants kind of way of doing things. Like, I'll just get up and improvise for a while, which isn't.
No.
It's not good.
Well, no. I mean, for you it might be, but for other people, that's like the most terrifying thing.
Ow. Well, I feel like it gives me, I don't know, if I'm improvising, I can do like a mental gymnastics of, oh, I was improvising, so it doesn't
Right.
have to be good.
Yeah.
Like, because it wasn't like premeditated or anything.
Yeah,
So it kind of justifies it in my own head as like, well, I was
That's
improvising.
kind of why I hate improv.
Yeah.
I
It's definitely true.
It's-
Like, it is kind of a cop out.
If it's
Good.
done well,
Yeah.
I'm not like not like if someone's going up and doing stand-up and like improving lines here and there, but like actual improv troops are kind of cringy. I'm not into it.
But yes, but good, good improv.
It's just a little. I can't get into it. I'm sorry. I know there's people out there that are great at it, and
I agree.
I love Reggie Watts. I love watching Reggie Watts, but just when you get more than one person involved, I don't know why it kind of freaks me out. It's like a culty vibe to it, where everyone's like just buying into the idea, and it's just I don't know.
But I will say, good stand-up is the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like watching somebody do What did I say? I said stand-up. I meant improv. Good improv is the greatest thing. Like it.
Well, I disagree.
Watching somebody do a high wire act and creating something that doesn't feel like improv is amazing.
Yeah, I partially. Here's like another comedian who's a stand-up, but also does a lot of like improv. Like he just writes jokes on the spot. Is Rory Scovel?
I love Rory.
I mean, I watched him in Iowa City a month ago, and
I saw him in Madison.
It was phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Todd, want to give me a beer?
He's one of my favorite. He's probably in my top 5 as far as like my favorite stand-up comedians.
Yeah, he's one of my
Get
favorite.
your 5 minutes of
The
fame
guy
on your own podcast.
He's just ridiculously funny. Have you listened to the stuff that he did on Todd Glass's podcast?
I have not.
He's got a bunch of stuff on there that him and Todd Glass would do, and it's the funniest, just improving scenes, like radio scenes. It's.
Do you know that Todd Glass is gay?
I did.
Is he really?
Yeah. He likes penises.
Huh.
I saw the only reason I know him is from the Tosh.0. Todd Glass's awful prank show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where he
really?
would just torture like little children.
Yeah. No, he's hilarious. He's very like scattered and kind of unprepared, but
it works for him.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious.
That's why I love stand-up. Everyone has their own comedians that they like, and it's like there's something out there for everyone, pretty much.
But I love watching.
From the most bizarre to the most structured, like it's just
But yeah, no, Rory Scovel is one of the funniest guys on the planet.
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
Just pound for pound, ridiculously funny.
Yeah, I wish I like. One of the things that I struggle with as a comedian is just confidence. I wish I had his confidence just to like go up there and fucking know that a joke is gonna work. Keisha, who's your favorite comedian?
Todd. Totally Todd. Don't lie. He's so cute.
No, not local comedian. They all suck. Who's your favorite real comedian?
Tyler Perry.
You know what?
Wow. It's Joe Coy.
I always make fun of him.
Before I answer that, back to your you hate improv.
How?
How if you do crowd work? Crowd work is all improv.
I don't do crowd work. I hate crowd work.
How if you handle hecklers?
I don't handle hecklers. I cry when I get off the stage.
It is true. It's pretty hard to watch.
That's all. I mean, watch comedians that have handled hecklers, which is why, although I did laugh at a lot of your set, I typically don't laugh very loudly because I don't want anybody to get comic backup or you don't feel that their flow or their sync is off. So, I mean, unless I just find it absolutely hilarious, you just won't hear that from me. But
you're saying you did like my set. Is that what you're saying? Say that one more time.
Yes, don't
tell me I'm funny.
We need validation.
Please.
Don't make comedy. But having or being able to
I think
either do crowd work or deal with
it's important to have that in your skill set, definitely.
Is all
The whole heckler thing, though, I think is overstated. I think people look for hecklers. You know, here's the thing. I used to address every single heckler that anybody that ever said anything. I remember one lady was like trying to order. I was at a show and this lady was trying to order.
Fuck
food.
you, bitch.
Well, she was trying to order food, but she was in the front row and she was asking the server questions about the kind of pizza. And I just like, I was throwing off my train of thought, right? And I was like, and I remember my friend Steve Jennings, a comedian from the Quad Cities, was like, have you ever considered just not fucking addressing it? Like, he was like upset at me. He's like, we'd like to hear your jokes. Quit talking to the hecklers. And I was like, all right, you know. Yeah. And so like you'll see these videos on YouTube where they're like,
Hecklers.
Steven Hofstetter handles hecklers. Some of those guys, they look for it because, I don't know, they think that it makes them look cooler, and it's like,
somehow
you just look like an asshole.
Somehow they have 45 videos of them putting down hecklers, and it's like, at some point you're planting somebody or you're encouraging it, and then you cut that part out and just like, oh, someone said something, oh, your mom sucks dick.
Classic.
Yeah, classic.
However, if you can do it and not turn the crowd against you.
Oh, the Bill Burr Philadelphia
thing is pretty good.
Is one of the most amazing things I've ever
seen. Have you ever seen that video?
No,
it's like 12 minutes.
Do you know who Bill Burr is?
Yes, I do.
So he goes up on stage in Philadelphia and they're talking, and you know, he gets up there within like 2 minutes. He's just like, fuck this. And then he just goes into this like, fuck you, Philadelphia, with your fucking Philly cheesesteaks. Fuck the Eagles.
I hope somebody smashes a bottle in your
I
zit-infested back.
I hope y'all get cancer and fucking die. And they're all booing him. And by the end of the set, he somehow, by just trashing the crowd the entire time, he somehow gets them to come back.
Well, that's how you get
side.
ahead in Philly, because they're all fucking assholes. Like, it's just that town. I don't know what it is about Philadelphia, but everyone is angry at nothing. Like, constantly.
You got a nice town. Why are you so... It's not that bad of weather. Why are you so angry about it?
It's really bizarre.
The Eagles just won the Super Bowl. Relax. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah,
the Phillies, I don't know what I don't watch baseball.
Like, obviously, people are like, New Yorkers are rude and, like, running around.
There's too many of them. That's the problem in New York.
But everybody's just in a hurry in New York. In Philadelphia, it's like, I'm not in a hurry. I have nothing to do. Let me spit in your eye.
Well, what I never understood about is Philly is the heroin capital of the world. Like, it should be pretty fucking chill,
that,
you know?
That doesn't surprise me.
What mental heroin addicts do you know?
What's that?
What mellow heroin addicts do you know?
Boom. Heckler put down.
Yeah.
Just got him.
Put that in the compilation.
Say now.
You are. I really like. I'm saying.
No, I'm not on. But like that's the point of heroin is it makes you mellow. Have you ever?
You heard that heroin ads?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's. I said.
You ever listen to Pink Floyd? That's my understanding of heroin, pretty much. It's just like Pink Floyd songs.
Just sick guitar riffs.
Sick guitar riffs, and you kind of just zone out.
Yeah.
So, Keisha, you never answered the question, though. Who's your favorite comedian?
Back to Hecklers, I would have to say
Jimmy Carr.
because of the way that he
That's funny.
Christopher Titus.
Okay. Fair enough. I love how that was both
I was
reactions.
not.
Okay.
I was not expecting that, but
What were you thinking?
what's that?
Okay.
You know what?
I don't know. I don't know who I would have guessed for you.
I would have punched
Brian
my face.
Reagan, maybe.
Brian Regan.
Regan.
He's my favorite.
Is he?
He's my.
I've literally never seen one bit from
Dude,
Brian.
he's really funny.
He's my number one.
He's a clean comic, but he is very demonstrative.
But it's totally him, though. Like, it's not a guy that's being clean in order to get a crowd.
He's just kinda,
it's just his style.
Yeah.
That's
And
why I like Ben.
He has a great dumb guy face.
he's got the perfect dumb guy voice. The big yellow one is the sun. What you got there, Brian? It's a cup of dirt.
Yeah, I don't really know how to deal with hecklers. I just try to ignore them and hope they don't fuck up the rest of the show. Because I feel like most of the people who are shouting shit, like 95% of the people in the crowd are like, can this guy fucking shut up? Like, they're on my side already.
Yes.
This guy is just fucking ruining the show. It's the problem when it becomes a problem when the heckler starts getting laughs. That's kind of when shit turns. Or if it's like a small town Iowa place and it's like the heckler knows people and they're all kind of like, oh, this guy's fucking hilarious. It's Jimmy over here cracking jokes with the comedians, and they're all like more
egging him on and shit.
More involved with him than they are you, and you're just some fucking guy. And I don't know.
I want to say this is the most comedy-based podcast that we've had so far.
Yeah, I know. Usually when you start talking about like religion and the afterlife and Sasquatch and shit.
Yeah. It devolves.
Yeah, religion and Sasquatch, like you do.
They're telling you the truth.
Yeah, it usually goes to that place.
Do you always stay for this also, or
Not always.
it was because of me?
Sometimes they suck, and she's like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go get a hot dog."
There's nothing redemptive.
What?
What's your bank account?
Hot dogs?
What's your bank account? Come on.
You're gonna ask me that.
Trying to buy a
Keisha, what do you do for a living?
I've been wondering this too.
You said one time, and I'm trying to remember what you said.
Just say the industry. I don't
wasn't-
even know.
I feel okay.
I don't
Can I
even know the
guess?
address of the place.
I'm gonna guess. If I'm right, you have to tell me. Okay? You're a librarian.
How? If I guess,
If I guess
if
right,
you're right, I have to tell you, but then you
That I'm
probably
right.
guess.
yeah. But if I'm wrong, you could just be like,
No,
all right, I'll
that's
see you
wrong.
guys later.
You
You're
don't-
not a librarian.
No, although
A Liberian? That's racist, Jake.
National system.
Do you work with kids?
No.
No?
I'd be on the register.
Are you in do you work at a college?
No.
No? Okay.
Do you have a job? Those are the only jobs I can think of. So
I have
Are you?
four.
you have four.
I do.
Do you drive for Uber?
Never.
What's your bank
She's
account?
clearly a witch.
Live kind of girl. I get it.
No.
Better profit margin. Longer rides.
Yeah. Especially when they're going to bury you in some random field. No.
She's actually a working stand-up comedian. She does Mondays off.
She-
Because she does shows on Monday.
She's just opening for Wanda Sykes on the weekends, and then she comes here.
She's
Just
Larry
to laugh
David.
at how
This
fucking
guy.
terrible we are.
How do you know it's not Kathleen Madigan?
I love Kathleen Madigan.
Oh.
Kathleen
She's
Madigan
gonna be in
is
Des Moines later.
really.
Did you see that? No.
She's my favorite
She's
female
really great.
stand-up comic
Is she?
by far. Oh my god, she's
She's
hilarious.
super funny.
Who's your favorite female stand-up comic?
My favorite female?
Jen
either-
Cool.
No. No, I love Jen, but she's not my favorite. It's, I don't know, either I like TIG Notaro a lot or Jenelle James.
Yeah.
I love.
I love
Janelle James is she opened for Chris Rock while he was getting his Netflix special worked out. So she's actually got a Netflix special that she just recorded and it should be out pretty soon. But she is hilarious. She's from like the Champaign area, but she lives in New York now.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely recommend checking
I love Maria Bamford.
her out. I like her too.
She's my favorite.
I like Sarah Silverman. I
love
actually
Sarah
like
Silverman.
Sarah
She's
Silverman more now. Like I've always thought she was a pretty good comedian, but like she just keeps.
I loved her last
She's gotten
special.
more focused.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of a lot of the shit that I do. At least I feel like a lot, like the way that she kind of approaches.
So she's
jokes.
like
There's a
the
lot
male
of.
Ryan Graham.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's too Jewish. No. She. I don't know. She has a lot of like twist jokes, where it's like she leads you down a road and you think something's gonna happen and then she just flips it on your head, which is stuff that I never really set out to write stuff like that, but I don't know, it just kind of happens and then it works and then I keep doing it. So.
Yeah. How
But
about
yeah,
you?
she's great.
Did you say who your favorite was?
Yeah.
Maria Bamford.
Yeah.
You're
alright.
not listening, Jake.
No, but yeah, I like Sarah Silverman a lot. But yeah, she's definitely gotten her stuff is more like her set is just less scattered than it used to be. It's very like it's very cleaned up, which I think has made her a lot better. It's more, just focused.
So I should probably be going here, but I want to give just like one more piece of comedy that I've picked up from doing stand-up for a few years. The next time you do a set, try holding the mic like Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit, just like this, and just see it, like just feel the laughs come. Just do it like this the whole time. I'm like, wait, is he about to break out in song? I didn't know.
It took me like 4 months to figure out how to hold the mic, to be honest with you.
I actually I saw the way like Louie CK had a mic, and then Donnie Townsend holds the mic the same way, and I was like, I think that'll work for me. I'm just like,
How's
just
that?
down here.
Down there.
You just hold it down here, and it's kind of like, it's a loose wrist. Loose wrist.
See, I think
Just
I've watched myself, and I feel like I mush my mouth a little bit too much, almost like I'm hiding half my face, and I feel like that doesn't really. I don't know. Maybe I should try it down here. I do like the Bill Burr thing of having the mic stand here, just having something to lean on and kind of fuck with while you're doing it. I just feel comfortable doing that.
What I hate is when people are like, oh, you think you're Bill Burr, you're holding the mic stand? Like, Bill Burr wasn't the first fucking person to ever put his hand on a mic stand.
No.
Like, it's not his thing.
No.
He doesn't own copyright to fucking left hand on a mic stand,
Or you can do the Marin and have one foot up on the speaker wedge.
I've actually
Lean it there. Yeah.
I've never seen him I saw like a little bit of his stand up, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah. I hate when that happens when like somebody.
But I hear his podcast is great. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It is.
it's brilliant.
I hate when I like there's somebody that everyone's like, oh, like someone you should know about, like Marin, for instance,
Right.
is someone that I've had this problem where I get into their special and I'm like 15 minutes in and I'm kind of just losing interest, and then I turn it off and I'm like, fuck, I should just power through.
Yeah. I love.
Like, they're not gonna
stand-up.
think I'm a real comic if I haven't seen
I know, right?
Marin's special.
Yeah. No, I just love how confessional his stand-up is. It's very much
it's
just
very
like
raw, very just not overly trying to be funny. It's just more I'm
No.
trying to be honest.
Yeah, well, he's just a raw nerve, and it's like the
I thought you said raw nerd. And I was like,
fucking nerd.
it's Brian Posehn.
No, how did you describe?
Oh,
How did you describe me tonight?
Oh no, I said what did I even
No,
say?
because I was saying that I didn't do well tonight because I didn't wear my Hawaiian shirts. One of my Hawaiian shirts, and you said something about.
A Hawaiian shirt is someone who's festively unemployed.
Love it.
that's why it's for old people, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's my tag. You either have to be an old person or you have to never stop wearing sandals.
Just be that guy who goes to Buffalo Wild Wings at noon and just starts fucking tossing them back and hitting on the waitresses and shit.
Rocking your
One of
Birkin-
those guys.
Rocking your Birkenstocks in the beard.
Sandals and Oakleys on your head. Like,
Oh yeah.
No,
Or
I'm
a
talking-
visor.
I'm talking 50-year-old, just
Yeah.
gross, bloated, fat head.
Well, the thing about
Red-faced
you can be
alcoholic.
any size
That's a
in
Hawaiian
a
shirt.
Hawaiian shirt. It doesn't matter how big or skinny you are, you can wear a Hawaiian shirt.
It's a barbecue all day type of guy. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for.
Well, it doesn't have the tails, so you can't tuck it in. So it's I'm dressed up, but I don't have to tuck anything in, so I'm good. It's the ultimate just dad white trash. It's the perfect barbecue attire.
That's kind of the vibe I'm going for on stage. I don't know. I started wearing Hawaiian shirts, and then I want to mix it up every once in a while, just so I don't become he thinks if he wears Hawaiian shirts every show, then he's gonna be funnier. That's his stupid shtick that he does or whatever.
No, you need to get a sunburn.
I need to have
But you
one.
need to get burned while you're wearing
Yes.
slim sunglasses,
Yes.
and then not wear the sunglasses, so you just have lines around your eye.
Just smell like cooked pork all the time.
You've got a vague smell
Sort
of
of
like.
greasy handshakes and people just. Sorry, I just ate some sausage.
You got the salt and pepper dollop in your beard.
No, I said I saw James Draper at the Turnbuckle Comedy Festival, and I swear to God, I was dressed in the exact same clothes.
What was he wearing?
He was wearing a fishing shirt and a fishing hat.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the exact same fucking clothes that I had on. And it took me a while to like get him, cornered at the end of the night. I was like, you are what I'm going to look like in 20 years.
I feel like Sam Talent was probably wearing something like that too.
No, he was wearing like jeans that he literally
Oh, come
cut.
on, yeah.
And yeah, I shook his hand after the show. Like, I tried to get into the green room while this shit was going on. I'm like, no, I'm a comic. They're like, no, good, no, you're not. And then
We had special wristbands. I was a
yeah,
jerk on
yeah.
that, by the way.
Why is it that people like that have that clear like homeless dad kind of look? It doesn't look like they haven't not worn shorts a day in their life, and their legs haven't like received the message that they're getting sunlight.
That's a good
no,
question.
that show. So the entire show I was trying to get into the green room because I hear they have free beer and I want to talk to comics. So
And free La Croix also.
Did they?
Yeah, sorry.
Shout out to
Plug.
Quad.
Sponsor me, please.
And then
Please give us money.
Sam Talent went up and absolutely killed it. Just
Dude.
one of the best sets I've ever seen
That was
in
the
my
best
entire
comedy
life.
I'd ever
Yeah.
seen.
I've seen Bill Burr, I've seen Louie CK, like I've seen a lot of fucking people, and that was
My
the
face
best.
hurt very bad.
Yeah.
Kyle Kinane was like sitting in the back. He's like, "Fuck, I gotta go."
Yeah, we were talking to him. Me and Todd were talking to him before the show. He's like, "Fuck, I gotta follow this guy."
Yeah.
Jesus. But after Kyle Kinane got off, whoever was manning the little green room just disappeared. So I was like, "Fucking great!" And I just walked in the
You
green
got back
room.
there?
Yeah, and I'm just like drinking beers and talking to fucking Royce Stevens. And I'm like, "Man, I saw your show on Comedy Central. It was great." And he's an interesting fellow. Royce Stevens. Did you talk to him at all?
Yeah, a little bit. But I was so starstruck when I was back there. Like,
Yeah.
well, Sam Talent came up to me. He's like, "Hey, what's up, Jake?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, you remember my name?" Like, and I didn't talk to anybody for the rest of the time. I was like, "That's enough for me." Like, fucking. Nick, I tried to talk to Nick Thune. He wasn't having it, dude. He didn't talk to. He talked to like Kyle Kinane and Brody and.
He was just not friendly. Or
I don't wanna
just
say-
kind of like in his own head about his set or something? Or,
Yeah, I think he just did not.
Or is
He just wasn't interested in making friends, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
He was like, "Look, they paid me to be here.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm here." You know. So he talked to like his friends that he knew, but.
Yeah, I talked to Kyle twice. Went up to Brody Stevens and talked about his Comedy Central show, and he seemed very like regretful of it, sort of.
Really?
I was like, dude, no, I loved it. Like, because his show on Comedy Central, for those who don't know, was basically about his recovery from being like not recovery from being bipolar, but he's bipolar. And there was a period there where he kind of went off the rails and stopped taking his meds, and he fucking like drop kicked a police officer and shit. And he'd make all these weird videos of himself being like, "I was in The Hangover, I was in this," and like just all these,
That was what half of his set was about. Like he said that he was.
Yeah. He's really interesting to watch on stage, how aggressive he is. But I was talking to him about it. I was like, no, that's because it was a really cool show just seeing him like go through that, and it was more of a drama than it was a comedy. And all he kept asking me was like, "But did you think it was funny?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I thought it was funny. It was cool, I was like, but I liked that it was kind of real, and it was really interesting, and it was sort of a drama and whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna do anything like that anymore. I think I'm just gonna stick to the funny." Okay, man.
I was surprised, like, you know, like I had the interaction with Nick Thune, and I was like, all right, like he doesn't want to talk to anybody. But then Cal Kinane was like the nicest guy, and like I was also like too starstruck to talk to him. I was just like, finally, I got up the nerve to just say, hey man, thanks for coming and doing this festival with us. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. Like he was, like he said more than I thought that he would, because I'm like, oh, this is Cal Kinane. He doesn't want to.
I was the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
I was that guy
Just
who
went
just
for
went
it.
up and just fucking went for it. So like, he's not gonna remember me.
He watched everybody's set.
Yeah.
Like that was what was crazy to me is like he might have gone to the green room, you know, 3 or 4 times the whole weekend to grab something to eat or something to drink, but he was in the barn watching people's sets the entire time.
Yeah, dude, we pulled up there and like got on that weird little trolley thing.
Yeah.
And we're like standing there waiting in line. We're like, was that Cal Kinane? Because I've only seen him on TV and stuff. I didn't realize how kind of short he was,
Yeah.
and he's like kind of got like a gray beard thing going on now.
Right.
We're like, holy shit, that's fucking Cal Kinane. And like we're all getting on the thing. He's like, I'll just wait for the next one. I don't know why he's Alex Jones in this story, a globalist. But he, yeah. And then I don't know. I talked to him once when I just saw him walking by, and I was like, hey man, I was there when he filmed his Loose in Chicago special.
Oh really?
And I sat next to his parents basically.
Nice.
Because I was there with this guy who used to do comedy here, and then he moved to Chicago, and we were up on the second row, and there was all these seats available that were like reserved. Well, they were reserved, but no one was sitting in them. And we were like, hey, is it cool if we sit here? And this chick just turns and she's like, yeah, I'll ask Kyle's mom. And we're like, oh, okay. So then we like sat there and then like talked to their parents afterwards. We're like, oh, we think your son's great. And they're just like, okay, whatever, like, get the fuck out of here. And I was like, yeah, man, I met your parents. And he's like, oh, you mean Deb and Frank? Yeah. And then me and Todd went up to him, and I tried to relate to him.
Did you run bits by him?
It did. No. I asked him, do you feel like a hot girl at a bar at a place like this? You know, because like everyone's kind of looking at you and being like, oh no, I'm not looking. And like all the comics are just kind of like hovering around him trying to get, you know, attention. And he was like, do I feel like a hot girl at the bar? And then just kind of like wasn't into it. But we talked for a little bit. I was like, you know, what part of Chicago are you from? Oh, I'm from Madison. No, I'm from Brookfield. And then he was like, oh, nice dude. and I don't know what happened after that. He was kind of drunk. He was a little bit drunk towards the end of the night.
Probably.
But, yeah, it was a good time.
Well, I think I'm going to leave on that story, guys.
And my awful Kyle Kinane story.
Okay, before I
That's
go,
great.
I hate the way that you pronounce his last name.
Kinane.
Yeah, but you say Kinane.
I know, it's supposed to be Kinane.
Kinane.
Well, before I knew how to pronounce it, I would always say it the wrong way, and then now I know how to pronounce it, and now I don't remember which is the right way to say it.
That's fair.
There's 2 ways in my head, and I just kind of pick one and go with it.
Fair enough.
The tumor is not canine.
Jake McBowles, everybody!
Bye.
Shock McBowles!
Alright, this is not fun anymore.